And we're back!
Yay! Another show, another week.
Yippity-doo-dah. How's everybody doing out there in internet land?
Yeah, if you haven't figured it out, this is Tana and Bill.
And we are going into episode number 5.
Yep, so we are going to be chit-chatting a little bit today. Let me stutter away.
Let's all stutter some.
Let's all stutter a little sometimes.
Let's talk about vaginas.
We're going to talk about vaginas and sexuality and health in general and a few taboo things that people may not know about or may know about but just not want to talk about.
I would say, I have on my personal Facebook page a nice big picture, and I don't even know who came up with it, but I love the quote. It says, "In the age of information, ignorance is a choice." And really, if you are that taboo and frightened of vaginas and penises and body parts that are perfectly natural in this day and age, you're probably the kind of person I would refer to as a retard.
Yeah, but I can assure you, penises and vaginas have always been natural.
They have been. And they exist all through the animal kingdom. You just need to get the hell over it and accept that that's a body part. Don't get too excited because you saw one. There are others available.
Well, but think about it, though. There used to be a time you couldn't see an elbow or an ankle.
That's true.
That's why they refer to the chicken leg as the drumstick, because you weren't allowed to say the word leg in Victorian times.
Oh, no.
It's too racy.
It always cracks me up. There's a guy I work with that's an old pervert, and anybody that I work with that's listening to this knows exactly who I'm talking to, so don't repeat this. But he always comes up and he says the weirdest shit. He gets this strange panty-type voice to him, and he's like, "Oh, look at all those pretty girls out there." And I just want to be like, wow, I'll bet they all have vaginas and breasts. Ooh, amazing. It almost makes them like females. Get over it, dickhead.
I tell ya. Yeah, I swear I must have worked with some of the same guys.
Yeah, guys are freaks. They scare the shit out of me sometimes. Just the things that come out of their mouth because they think it's perfectly normal for guys to talk about.
Right.
There was one time I was in a laundromat back before we had our own washer and dryer, and it's just me and this one other guy sitting in there, and I'm reading a book while I'm doing my stuff, which automatically makes most people think, oh, you're available to talk to me.
Exactly, because you're reading after all. You're not doing anything important.
So out of all the 50 other seats he could have taken, he sits one seat over from me, just starts watching TV and not saying anything. And it was one of those stupid entertainment type shows. Britney Spears comes on. This is before she went all trailer park crazy and shaved her head.
Okay.
And he looks at me and says, "Man, that girl's so hot I'd lick her asshole clean after she shit."
What?
And I'm just like, why? Why would you ever want to do that?
Why would you say that to someone, especially someone you don't even know?
Exactly, and think that it's a perfectly normal statement. But this guy next to you is just going to be like, "Oh, hell yeah, let's all eat poop together."
Wow. Yeah.
But yeah.
People say stuff.
Some people are really turned on by that. And if you have never heard of the video, 2 Girls, 1 Cup, congratulations. You're a far better person than I am. But
Bill's a pervert.
It's not that I'm that bad of a pervert. I just look at anything that strikes interest in a lot of people, and if it's really weird, I want to know about it before anybody else so I can explain it to people.
Yeah, that's his excuse.
It's a very good excuse, and I'll stand by it.
It's all research for the show.
Yeah, I've been doing this research for 25 years.
Well, the show's been in the planning stage for a long time.
But yeah, 2 Girls, 1 Cup is what they call scat porn. There is any kind of aberrant porn is got a huge market nowadays. It's almost like every freak on the planet that's turned on by any sick, twisted fantasy you can come up with. They just want to get together and chat online. Yeah,
I don't know what it's called, but there's a fetish where people enjoy watching people step on bugs. And it really turns them on to watch a high-heeled shoe smash a bug. And I wonder, it's not my personal preference. I'm not down with it, but I wonder what about that experience is pleasurable. If it's the sound, if it's the sight, if it's the thought of it, if it's the actual foot or the shoe. I don't know. Is it the death of the little bug? I don't know. But then I've heard it even goes as far as some people enjoy watching kittens being stepped on to death. Mm-hmm. And that goes into a whole other realm of things, which is really jacked up and, cruelty to animals and prosecutable, I would assume.
Yeah, I would think that, there are people out there, if you're caught harming an animal in any way, shape, or form, you can end up in jail.
Sure.
I, for one, I don't try and get down on anybody for anything. Feel free to be who you are, in my opinion.
Just don't hurt stuff.
Yeah, as long as you're not hurting living beings, especially not children or raping anyone. Do whatever turns you on.
That's what I say. Rock it out. Just don't hurt anybody.
But some of that shit is just hilarious. I mean, we were just looking up in preparation for today the vaginal weightlifting record, which amazes the hell out of me.
Yeah, I didn't think such a thing was possible. Now I know.
These Russian women can lift big weights with vaginal muscles.
But it takes 20 years of working out.
Totally the wrong accent.
That was the wrong accent. That was kind of like an Arnold Schwarzenegger Austrian accent.
I am the vaginator, beware of me.
But yeah, this lady worked out for 20 years to get her hoo-ha in shape.
I love that word, hoo-ha. Where did that word come from? Women everywhere use it.
Hoo-ha!
It does sound like an exciting place to be.
Well, it's just, we grow sick of saying the word vagina because it sounds so medical. And a lot of people have weird opinions on it. So people just come up with cutesy, funny ways to say the exact same thing. I, of course, use the word vagina when having a normal conversation. But when joking around, I'll come up with little creative isms.
Well, I think one of my favorite things I've heard in that reference was there's a girl that I work with that likes to tell people she will punch them in their uterus. And I find that hilarious. I love it.
Yeah. I often announce when my uterus begins to slough. Yes, I do, and I'll tell the cashier at the store.
It's shedding its skin. Beware of me.
Exactly. I'm sorry, my uterus is sloughing. I can't quite focus today. But yeah, I like to make sure everyone knows what's going on with me medically.
Hey, there you go. Why keep it a secret?
Exactly. I have a vagina. Be proud. Girl power.
I don't have one.
No.
But I'm a fan.
He's a fan.
I'm not a doctor, but I played one a lot as a child.
Right. Well, you got your own set of things going on that...
That's true. That's the other thing. For the longest time, you had to have an X rating on any show that showed a penis.
Yeah.
Why? Supposedly, penises have been in charge of the world since the dawn of civilization, as far as our written histories go.
Well, but truth be told, in television shows and movies, you don't actually see the actual vagina.
Well, no, you don't. You see a little tuft of hair.
Exactly. Yeah. You see slightly between the thighs, but you don't see anything what they would call explicit. And I got news for everybody. Half the people in this world have one. The other half have a penis.
There are more vaginas. Well,
are there more vaginas than penises?
I believe the female population is slightly higher than the male population. Really? I think it's more like a 60-40 or something like that.
Well, close enough. There's a large number of women in this world.
That's true.
And anyone who's a female probably already knows they are one.
That's true. Very, very true. Or as I like to say, indeed.
Indeed. However, when I was a little bitty kid, I did think I was a little boy. I don't know why. And my mother delights in telling me the story from when I was 2 or 3, and I would walk around saying, I a good boy, right, Mom? I a good boy. But I can assure you, I am a female. I've had it checked medically, and just, from around the street as well.
Other men have told me, yeah, these look like girly parts.
Exactly. So that's been cleared up. Thankfully. I would much rather be a girl than a boy.
Yeah, there are a lot of weird sexual things out there that people are into. I don't personally understand a lot of them. One of them that really gets me is granny porn.
Oh, yeah, what's up with that?
I don't understand. I mean, when somebody's face is that wrinkled, what makes you think the rest of their body's going to look fantastic?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. But, one time I saw a porn that particularly disturbed me. It was on the website Xhamster. And, yeah, that's right. Xhamster.com is a pornography site. I cannot...
Now that we've plugged you, you owe us money.
Yeah, but I can't say whether or not they're virus-free, so make sure, as with any website, you use your virus scan software. It's very important. Moving on from that. Or use a MacBook, because they don't get viruses as much.
There you go. So what did you see in this porn?
But what I saw in this porn, it just kind of a strange... But I guess it would be a fetish. But the female actress in the porn pretended to be asleep during the entire incident. But it was obvious she wasn't actually asleep. It wasn't one of those weird things that, someone should call the police about. But it was like, what kind of faction of people are turned on by doing it with people who are asleep?
Yeah. How small does your dick have to be
before
you can't even wake her up with it?
The guy was kind of old, so that was gross anyway. So I wonder if it wasn't some kind of an allusion to more deviant behaviors. I'm not sure. But it kind of disturbed me.
Yeah, well, I guess we should say, a good 50% of men are out there looking at porn, and the other 50% are probably lying about looking at porn.
And that's the truth. Most people that have access to it at least have checked it out.
Yeah, it tends to be people with genitals that want to see this type of thing. It cracks me up, though, because I remember back in the day when I first got internet access, if you went to certain websites. Like, I remember looking up the band Bare Naked Ladies and having a ton of pop-ups for porn appear. But nowadays, if you look at porn, you get pop-ups for, like, insurance companies. Mm-hmm. How the hell does that work?
That is weird. One time I was looking for an eggnog recipe, and all I could find was pornography sites. And I'm like, this isn't the kind of eggnog I'm looking for at all. And then I'm like, I don't even know what an eggnog sexually is.
The people at my holiday party are going to be sorely disappointed.
I know, they will be too. But yeah, that is weird. But I have noticed that myself, though. There'll be ads on the site for, like, jewelry or shoes. Because, now your browser keeps track of what things advertise towards you. What things you might be interested in.
Is it that, or do the porn companies realize that it's people from every walk of life looking at this stuff? They might as well advertise every product available.
Well, I think they always knew that, though. It was the mainstream public that didn't want to admit it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a good amount of rumors to the fact that when it came to the whole VCR war between VHS and Beta, the reason the whole world wound up going with VHS is because the porn companies decided they were not going to produce tapes in Beta form.
But I have some friends that say that's why they buy certain types of computers.
Oh, yeah.
Because they are less likely to get viruses when they're looking on those websites.
What we need are ethical pornographers.
Exactly.
Just make your sites virus-free with no pop-ups.
With no pop-ups, except for the intentional kind.
That's right.
Boing.
But yeah, the whole vaginal weightlifting thing, it cracks me up, but it does serve a medical purpose.
It does. As women age, or sometimes when they have children, their vaginal muscles are not as taut as they once were. And that can lead to things like incontinence or, over the years, prolapsed uterus, where the uterus and bladder kind of move down into the vaginal canal, and it's medically important to have that fixed. It's not good. It's painful, and, who wants that?
I would say any young girl who listens to this, who has no problem with getting pregnant and having a baby with her boyfriend, should probably think real long and hard about pissing yourself every time you sneeze or cough or laugh.
Yeah.
It's a good possibility, and if you're young, you're probably going to mess your body up a bit by doing this.
It's true. Having children in the actual birthing process does a number to the body.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of my friends, who shall always to this forever remain nameless, because I'm sure she wouldn't want the story out, but one of my friends...
Tell it anyway.
Yeah, we're going to tell it anyway, though, because chances are she won't listen. But she had I believe it was her third child. She'd had 3 children, and this was her 3rd pregnancy. And during that pregnancy, during the labor process, something happened, tearing something between the vagina and the rectum. And now she soils herself at times. And it's completely not intentional, obviously.
Ooh.
But it's kind of like the incontinence with the bladder, except it's the other end. And it's horribly embarrassing, and there's really not a lot they can do to help her. She just has to kind of rebuild the muscles.
Yeah. Completely off subject, but the whole idea of breeding is just getting out of hand. Everybody's got that whole Ozzie and Harriet mindset of, you can't be a real adult until you start having kids and building a family.
You have to have 2.5 of them.
Yeah. When we have the third one, chop half off.
I want the top half. I do not want to keep that bottom half if that's the 2 choices. I want the cute half.
But really, breeding is all about keeping your species going, making sure the line doesn't die out. Man, there are almost 7 billion of us on this planet.
It's true.
Even if we get hit by a meteor that rips the whole planet in half, chances are somebody's going to live. The species will go on. You don't have to keep breeding.
Well, but some people say that they want to make sure they carry on their particular family bloodline.
Yeah, but what's the purpose? It's not like you're fucking royalty. And even if you are royalty, that's nothing more than a title you made up for yourself somewhere way back in the past.
And I don't know either, but I've heard a lot of people say that. I know a number of people who have opted not to have children, that when if they chose to even get married, one of the other of them would have an operation to make that impossible. One couple, friend of mine, they got married, and then very shortly after, he had a vasectomy, and they couldn't be more delighted with their choice.
Yeah, it's not that bad. Being an adult who can go out whenever night you want, not have to worry about a babysitter, not have to worry about setting up a family-friendly vacation, just go wherever the hell you want, whenever you want.
It's
That's
cheaper.
A nice choice. Yeah, it's
cheaper. You can
cheaper.
spend your money on you.
Exactly. You can have a lot more fun, you can have a lot of fun with children in the family, but...
Yeah, we don't hate kids.
No, not in the least bit. I love kids. I've always been really good with kids because of my amazing ability to do voices and entertain them.
It's true, he's funny.
Yeah, that's what people tell me. I think they're all full of shit.
They are. He sucks.
Yeah, I am. I'm terrible. But it's a good time. It's more fun when you can do voices like Elmo and invite people to do weird sexual things like, motherfucker.
Whoa. That went out there on a limb. One I wasn't prepared to climb.
That's all right. The guy who was doing the voice of Elmo is, I think he got in trouble for some kind of child molestation or something.
Oh, really?
I believe so.
Wow. It is a crazy world out there. I'll never forget when Pee Wee Herman got arrested.
Oh, God, that was a great story. You're doing something every guy does. He was touching himself. Big deal.
It was a pornography store theater type situation, wasn't it?
But
it wasn't a regular movie theater, was it?
No, it was a porno theater.
Okay.
But those kind of places are set up, and I mean, you can look them up online. They still exist in different parts of the world. They kind of took most of them out of New York, and that was the big news story that helped propel that movement forward. But those theaters are literally designed where people can go and meet up with random sexual partners or just touch themselves while watching porn.
We don't need that now. We have Craigslist.
Yeah, you can find somebody to play with on Craigslist or just watch porn on your computer and touch yourself.
Be careful out there. There's a lot of creeps.
Yeah, there are. And there's a lot of disease. They say like 1 in 4 people now has some kind of VD.
Oh, I would not be surprised at all.
At all. No, not at all.
Dang. Have you seen, people, dang. Whew.
I think that's what really prevented me from being a male whore.
I don't want
I will end up catching something and I'm just not interested.
Right, yeah, I routinely ask people, have you ever gotten a cold sore? Because I'm looking for some Carmex, but I've never had a cold sore myself. I'm just checking to see if they have.
Yeah,
because that grosses me out.
It's facial herpes.
Well, and see, the thing is that I'm not saying it's a wretched illness. I'm just saying I don't want it. Because I know there's many people out there that have it. I have family members that have it, and I realize it's not actually a big deal. But just, it bothers me. I can't do it.
Yeah, I don't want that kind of thing growing on my face. I actually had a scab inside my nostril one time. Because I'd scratched myself in my sleep. And somebody was telling me, no, that's a cold sore. I'm like, no, it's in the shape of my fingernail. Trust me.
Yeah, I stabbed myself in the roof of my mouth brushing my teeth quite vigorously once. And I caused, a canker sore or something, but I had, a wound inside my gum line. And, yeah, I then became all freaked out, thinking immediately I had somehow gotten herpes in the same day that I jabbed myself with my toothbrush.
Oh, shit, I put it right in the bloodstream.
Right. It went away. I'm herpes-free. Everything's fine.
Good deal.
Yeah.
But I do love the frequency of these commercials that are showing up on TV now for things like Valtrex.
Yeah.
They ought to just have a nice disclaimer at the end, or even the advertising slogan itself should be like, would you like to hide your herpes from the people you plan to give it to?
Yeah, well, because that's the thing is that all STIs can still be transmittable even if a person's not showing symptoms. It does become less likely, but that less likely doesn't mean never. And that's where I stand with that. You should always be as well protected as a person can be.
Yeah. Before you go and start having sex with somebody without any kind of protection, you need to have some sort of medical test.
I was going to say an actual medical checkup. Both of you
go to the doctor together. And
it's kind of fun. Planned Parenthood, they love it when you come in as a couple. They do. It's super fun.
We're going to give you guys a certificate for being disease-free.
But then if you go...
Thank you for not spreading the problem.
But for real, if you go together, then both of you actually had all the testing done.
That's true. Well, it's kind of funny to say, but I actually became somewhat terrified of these diseases. I'm not necessarily terrified as in wet myself or anything, but just really trying to stay away from any potential disease.
I get you.
When I was in high school, I used to take a lot of acid and mushrooms. And the worst thing you can ever do as a kid, well, teenager, is to have about 3 grams of mushrooms in you and then go to class and watch a slideshow about STDs. 45 straight minutes of looking at what could happen to your genitals if you mess up. Some of those images will be burned into my mind forever, and I never want to see them attached to my body.
No, I hear you. I wonder why I don't have any children is that video of the big baby's head coming out.
Oh, God.
In that other health class.
Well, think about it. They didn't show it on a regular TV. They showed it on a projector. So
exactly.
That vagina was 4 foot wide. It looked like a bus passing through there.
Yeah, it was something. Yeah, I didn't enjoy that myself. Well, and that's the strange thing about sex education in our school system is that you get education, but you don't really get the kind of education that you would actually need. I remember before I ever engaged in sex, I was completely baffled by exactly how the whole mechanism worked. I remember thinking, well, I understand. They explained to me that I have a vagina and men have penises. And I'm not talking that I was like a child. I was an adult when I first engaged in sexual activity. And I'm like, okay, so I get this. I've seen a lot of movies and stuff, but I don't quite get it. So I wondered if there wasn't some kind of vacuum process that occurred within the vagina that kind of suck the penis into it because I couldn't figure out how it was done.
They were so unclear about things. I remember at my middle school, we were the last class where they allowed males in the middle school to go through.
Okay.
And it's all based off the question that one guy asked. I mean, they were showing the difference between the actual vaginal canal and how a woman urinates and how she has sex. How there's two different places, because some of you don't even know that now.
No, my mom doesn't know that. I remember her explaining this to me, and I remember thinking, what the fuck is she talking about? I'm like, my God, I'm missing something. There's something wrong.
I remember they were talking about this, and this one guy raises his hand, and he's like, do they poop out of their butts or what? And I'm like, that's a valid question, man. Answer, please.
Yes, we do. Those of us women who have bowel movements anyway, I know a great majority say they don't.
The ones who can control them. Unlike those who are on Valtrex.
Yes.
That's one of my favorite disclaimers. And I hear it from a lot of different
medications. Can cause anal leakage?
Well, not just anal leakage. They say it differently. A frequency of bowel movements and an inability to control them. Oh, nice. I'm just going to shit myself a lot.
Well, like with that potato chip grease they were using a few years back.
Cholestra.
Yeah.
That's where I would hear it the most.
Yeah, that was good times.
Wow. Weight loss through constant diarrhea.
Well, it works.
It does. And really, that's what some of those weight loss drinks like Slim Fast are based in. I mean, it does. It just pushes everything out of you really fast.
And gives you just enough vitamins to kind of stay alive.
Exactly. While dehydrating the shit out of you.
While dehydrating you, yeah. That's true.
Weight loss, there are so many things in this country that we are terribly misinformed on. Are reaching out constantly for like a really fast cure for issues as far as weight loss and depression, anything of that nature.
Well, anything health related, really.
Really, I mean, we're always going for the thing that's going to work right this moment, and those weight loss things are a terrible way to go. If you are having a problem with your weight, what you need to do is eat better foods and get some goddamn exercise. 1 hour a day is all you need. And I know there's a lot of people that are like, I don't have time to spend an hour a day. Turn off the TV.
Right.
Or exercise in front of it. You're going to be sitting on your fat ass anyway.
Well, and I'm one of those people that would always say that, well, I don't have time, I work too much, I was working too many hours in a day and going to school and blah, 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 everybody wants to hear me whine. And the truth is, if I would have, not needed to vegetate for 4 or 5 hours every night when I came home, I would have had plenty of time. And there's no reason why you can't exercise while you're doing something else.
No, not at all. I mean,
you can work
everything into exercise.
Well, park far away at the grocery store. A couple of little steps here and there does add up eventually. People always drive around for like an hour waiting to get to the closest parking space.
That first one.
Right, and you could have been in shopping and back to your car by now.
It really disgusts me seeing, and I'm not trying to be Nazi-ish or anything.
He's not a hater.
I am not a hater. I love all people except for when they're being douchebags, and I really think it's kind of, it's almost like we're encouraging douchebag behavior when we allow people who have become obese to become worse by taking little electric scooters around. Those things were not designed for people to just keep gaining more and more weight. Those were designed for elderly or injured people who cannot walk.
Well, but then that goes to the issue of what makes a person become obese in our society in the first place. It's the food products that we have available to us.
It is.
It's hard to make an educated choice when you don't know any better, or even if you knew better, you don't have the tools you need. I mean, there's some places that are such food deserts, and legitimately there are food deserts that have no fresh fruits or vegetables available. They don't have a way to even go get them.
Wow, did we go off the topic from
I know, we did, but it's all relative.
Everything is relative to
because
the way
the health of the vagina is the whole health of the body. I mean, it's all relative.
I want a healthier vagina myself.
That's why you got to eat a lot of fruits and vegetables, bro, and you got to drink a lot of water. If you want your hoo-ha to be healthy, you got to take care of it, and you got to do your Kegels, and you may need to get some Benoit balls. And the Benoit balls are a product that apparently it's a sexual health device, and I can't quite figure out how it would actually be used sexually for enjoyment purposes, but...
Well, it's maybe just like doing your Kegel exercises. I mean, what you're doing is you're squeezing and strengthening those muscles to hold the ball or weight in place.
And I totally understand that aspect.
And when you do that, I mean, I have a weird thing I can do. I can flex my pupils. Like, I can make them open and close like you would if you're going in light or dark. Okay. And I could do it because when I would go from light to dark in like an experiment in class, I just remembered what it felt like. Same difference when you're doing your vaginal exercises. You remember what it feels like to move those muscles.
Right.
It enables you to be able to control yourself better that way as far as having urination problems. But also when you're being sexual.
Right.
You can squeeze, you can pull, you can
do you actually use the balls during intercourse?
I don't think so.
Because that's where I was getting confused by it, because the thing is that I know these products are available, but there's really not that much information about how they're meant to be used. Well, and my gynecologist actually recommended me to get them, and it's not because I already had an issue. She just wanted me to prevent having any issues later in life. So she recommended that I get a set to exercise my vaginal muscles, but then there was no okay, how long do you do it? Is it every day? Is it for 15 minutes a day? Or is it all day long when you're walking around town? Or are you supposed to leave them in during intercourse? Are you supposed to take them out? Is it, and I know...
I would say, just to prevent further injury, you should probably take them out of your vagina and just shove them right up your partner's ass.
There you go. Yeah, and, you can go from 1 to 2, but never from 2 to 1.
That's right.
It's not healthy. There's bacteria and such. I'm just saying.
Ass to mouth is great for porn if you're into that thing. Don't do it.
Yeah, I mean, really, there's a high level of bacteria and you can become sick. And
That's a disgusting concept in my mind, though.
Well, some people are down, dude. Some people are down, and I don't care. Be down with it. But just be healthy. Like, I had a client once that kept, and this actually came up during a therapy session, she kept getting yeast infections. And so through talking about some other different things and why she kept having this yeast infection problem, and I don't know why it even came up during therapy, but it did, it turned out that when she was using marital aids like vibrators and dildos with her partner, she wasn't cleaning them afterward. She didn't know you were supposed to.
Ooh.
And so however long that they had been using these, they had been dirty that whole time, and then every time they would use them, it would be new bacteria reintroduced. And so she kept getting sick from it. And all she had to have someone do is explain to her, oh, no, honey, you have to wash those with soap and water every time. Make sure anything, electronic doesn't get immersed in water, because she didn't know. And no one had ever explained it to her, and how is someone supposed to know something if no one ever tells you?
Well, I'll tell you, once upon a time, the places where you go and buy those things, when you actually had to go to stores rather than ordering them online.
Thanks, Amazon.
Yeah, thanks, Obama. But really, when you have to go to a place like that to find any sort of marital aid, it was kind of a seedy location that nobody.
And the building kind of creepy looking.
Yeah, you put on your big trench coat, your glasses, and your fedora, so nobody knew who you were.
And you judge everybody when you drive by at 9 in the morning, and they're there. They're like, "What are those weirdos doing at the porn shop?"
But people would literally walk in, grab something off the shelf, walk to the register, looking down, give them cash because you don't want a credit card trail going back there. But nowadays, when you go to somewhere like that, the salespeople tend to be very educated.
And good-looking. A lot of them are really good-looking people. Not all.
It attracts a certain clientele, and hey, it's helpful.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been in the store within the past couple of years where I overheard a salesperson talking about proper cleaning techniques.
Good.
And they have cleaners that they sell specific to a certain chain in this region.
Good.
I won't mention them because they've never given us any money. Screw those people. But it is kind of cool. I mean, is someone out there who can actually teach you the health and the proper usage of all these things. It's very beneficial because you don't want to just go out and buy random shit and not know how to use it.
You don't want to hurt yourself.
Right, and that is a big issue.
It really is. And I looked on the government website because we have the CDC that has website about sexuality and health. And so I looked on there, and it gave all kinds of information about using condoms and things like that, but it didn't have a single helpful hint about using any of those devices. And I was like, well, how am I supposed to find the answer? Because I don't want to look like I'm just Google and any random person tell me that also doesn't know what they're talking about. But I found on the NHS website from the UK, the National Health Service website from the UK, they have a fantastic sexual health section for all the way down from young children all the way up through parents, and how to it discusses things like how to make your partner feel more pleasure, how to be safe in your practices, but how to learn about your own body through masturbation and different things and they actually were, without being graphic, they were much more appropriate and answered questions that I'd had for a little while. And I'm not ignorant per se, but there's always little things you don't know, and you're like, oh, that does make sense.
There's always stuff you didn't want to ask your parents about.
Oh God,
that's one thing I really like about Europe. They're very open with their sexuality, and because of that, they are far more educated in it. They have far less instance of rape in their countries than we do.
I wasn't aware of that, but that's terrible.
Well, it's just like drinking. I mean, in some of the countries where you can drink at 10, 13 years old, their alcoholism rates are through the floor compared to us. Whatever you make a taboo in your society becomes more popular. And when it comes to closing people off sexually and teaching them that it's a taboo, that it can't be used, that they shouldn't be involved in those things.
It's a dirty little secret.
God will cry if you touch it.
You'll grow hair on your palms.
You force the people to feel more powerless in their own lives. And then in order to get that sense of power, they turn into rapists and sexual deviants and people that want to hurt someone during sex rather than pleasure them. We really do live in kind of a sad, twisted society. We have a lot of mental health issues here that we just don't want to face because a lot of them are in office.
Well, I can speak to being a female child growing up, and girls are taught that sex is something that a boy or a man will try to take from you. It's a gift. It's something you're supposed to hold sacred. It's a sacred little treasure trove. And the thing is that it is something that is not meant to be shared with everybody.
That's right. Those terrible men will try to invade your secret garden.
Exactly.
Defend, fortify, wear your chastity belt. Exactly.
But really, even though that sounds barbaric, it's true. Girls are still taught that boys will try to trick you to get a hold of it, and maybe they do, but
I think that's a pretty fair assessment. Because a lot of guys are complete assholes when it comes to that.
But the thing is, why do girls walk around thinking that it's something that they have to? I'm trying to think of how to explain it. It's something that they can also enjoy. It's not something that is bad or should be scary to them, or that they need to hold hostage and sacred forever and ever and ever. Because it's just a normal human healthy act, and I'm not saying just to go and give it up. I mean, don't slut it up.
Yeah, but really, in the past 50 years, it's the first time that we've come to a point where it's more prevalent to teach that females can also gain pleasure from this.
Right. That's what I was trying to get to.
For a very long point in time, it was literally something you did to procreate or to please a man.
Right, and that's what I was trying to get to.
All the woman was supposed to do.
It was a marital duty.
Please the man. Sex was there to make ejaculation possible. That's what the vagina was invented for.
Right, well, females were incubators.
Exactly. You're just a broodmare. Don't have any opinions or ideas or rights.
Exactly. But it's crazy. But growing up, I was inadvertently taught things like that. Not quite as aggressive sounding, but it took me a number of years to kind of get through my own weird hang-ups. And be like, why do I feel like some things are okay and some things aren't okay, and why do I pick and choose about whatever? And it all comes down to personal preference, but I didn't even feel like I had the really right to make personal preference choices. Well, because there's just a straight and narrow.
Everybody, as they get to be older, not even necessarily older, every day of your life, you should question, why do I believe the way I believe?
Yeah.
Who taught me this? Where did this idea come from? And if it came from a bullshit source, you should be able to disregard it and move forward and build something different of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be afraid to change every single day of your life, as long as you're moving in a goal towards a better human being.
Right.
But yeah, I don't ever say things like that, speaking down on women as my actual point of view. It's more just insulting that point of view because I think it's ridiculous and childish.
It is. And I've known you for 150 years, so I know that about you.
That's a long time.
It is a long time.
We're immortals. We just don't tell people.
Shh. It's a secret. We're secretly immortals, but don't tell. Moving
just
forward.
Like the alien lords who rule over us.
Hail to our alien lords. We're here for you, madams.
Well, I've been watching Game of Thrones, and I'll say this, I am way behind the times. I do not follow the bullshit media and jump out the second something comes out. I wait and see what it's like. I read the first book, which took me a long time because it was kind of slow moving, and I read 10, 15 books at a time. Sometimes one will get a lot less attention than it deserves. So, the third season of Game of Thrones, I think, was just wrapping up on HBO. And I finally started watching the first season. I'm almost finished with it.
Mm-hmm.
They show a lot as far as the way kingdoms really were run in the time, where there are tons of whorehouses everywhere. Because women are just there to please the men.
Right.
And when it comes to the king, it's multiple women all the time. Constantly. And it's almost never the queen that they're making love to. Because that was kind of a mindset at the time. When there
was your wife, the one who mothered your children, then there was the one you took care of your business with.
Exactly. And how sad is that? I don't know.
But there's still people that have that attitude. I remember talking to a young man. Well, by young man, I mean like a 30-year-old guy. At a job we shared, and we worked together, and we had a random conversation about it, and he said that he had a wife, but he always had at least one girlfriend, and that his wife was aware of this because there were things that he would like to do sexually that he would never do with his wife because that would be dirty, and that's the mother of his kids, and how could she then kiss their children's foreheads with her mouth or touch them with her hands if they had done X, Y, and Z things. So he would always keep a skank on the side. And I'm like, what kind of world am I living in?
I ask myself that almost every single day. There's a certain logic to that.
But notice how he still touched his kids.
Yeah.
With his dirty mouth
I
and his
do
dirty
this dirty
hands.
thing to dirty whores, and I'll touch my children. Here, have some disease from Papa, young lad.
But really, what's up with that? That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm okay with it. If you are in an open relationship and everybody's cool with whatever you want to do sexually with however many partners, that's
well, sure,
fine.
as long as everybody's aware and is consenting, I don't care.
Yeah.
But the logic of then she can't touch the kids because she'd be tainted is the part that I'm like, what?
Yeah, what if one of your whores on the side get pregnant?
That's not to happen.
Yeah.
His seed picks and chooses, duh. You know how it is. You're a guy. Picks and chooses.
As if we had any control over those sorts of things.
Oh, I know.
It's quite funny, though, how misleading, or how misled people are in that regard. Like, guys who think, well, I'm a strong man, so I will only have boys.
I am strong like bull, create son.
Strong like bull.
Huh. But then they also tell you that there's different techniques to have the male children or female, whatever your preference would be. And it's based on, from my understanding, that male sperm that would become male children, is weaker than sperm that would become female children, and that's why it has to be placed further into the canal for it to create male children.
Wait, do you know where you got that info?
No, I don't. I can probably look it up for you.
Because that would almost make sense. When I look at, like, ancient history, we know that the world used to basically be run by women.
Right.
Before men just took over and fucked over the women completely. But that's kind of funny. Because if the sperm that would become female is stronger, that would make a lot more sense, especially since we have a higher population of women on the planet than we do men.
Well, in college and in grad school both, I took some medical courses, and they explained to me that male infants, when they're born, their bones are more brittle than female children. And that as the children grow, their bones become more dense, but initially they're weaker because the mother's body kind of attacks the male fetus the whole time because it's a different gender than her body. And I know this is like a very dumbed down version of it because I'm not really as smart as I pretend to be.
I'm kind of a dummy myself.
Right, exactly. But basically, that in order to create male children, you have to be able to inject the seed further into the canal, so the position you would not want to use is missionary.
Wow. Because
it injects lower.
That almost sounds as ridiculous to me as the old argument I would hear, like, back when I was a teenager, if you have sex with a guy without a condom, all you got to do is stand on your head for a while because they swim upstream and you won't get pregnant.
Oh, good Lord. I thought you were going to say jump up and down.
Jump up and down was another one. Man, there were some ridiculous
things. Or douching with Coca-Cola. Classic.
Well, hey, if it cleans a penny, why not kill sperm?
But yeah, and that's the thing is that if we had more information, I think there wouldn't be such strange ideas. And maybe it really is true about the different positions sexually. I don't know. But I do know that male children, when they're born, their bones are a little more brittle.
Well, I also know that during the course of your incubation period, everyone is female.
Correct.
Completely for a certain period of time.
Correct. And then at some point in time, the chemicals wash over the baby and things start to change.
Yeah. Occasionally, your ovaries fall out and hang in this little bag.
Right. I'd like to point out we're not doctors here.
Oh.
So, yeah, don't take anything we say for gospel.
Yeah.
Do your own research.
If you're listening to this for your medical advice, there's something wrong with you.
Right.
You're better off searching WebMD, which is still not a good idea.
Do you know how many times WebMD said I had tumors?
Really?
Yeah, I'm scared of WebMD.
I've talked to a lot of doctors who say that's like the worst thing that was ever invented.
Yeah.
It's like a hypochondria magnet.
Oh, definitely.
People just look at that shit and they decide, well, this is what I have, and then they go to the doctor to get medication for it and will refuse any ulterior treatments. Because, no, WebMD told me this and I know it was telling me the truth.
WebMD has real doctors.
Yeah. How the hell do you know? Because they advertised it to you that way, dumbass?
Well, even still, it's like you go through as a checklist. You just select which ones are yes and which ones are no. That's still not the same kind of diagnostic work your medical doctor would ask you. They'd ask you all kinds. They'd actually be able to see your face. Yeah. They'd ask you all kinds of other questions like, I noticed you've got this weird color going on that you didn't realize you had because you weren't looking at yourself when you filled out your webinar. Doesn't make any sense.
Turns out you don't have a cold, sir. You've got jaundice.
Right. Go sit out in the sun for a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, don't use the internet as your doctor. That's crazy.
No, you know what? I am all for playing around on the internet, having some games. Keep yourself entertained with it. That's one of the big things that it's there for. But really, this is like the culmination of all human knowledge put at your fingertips at any point in time, including the people that carry around smartphones, which are becoming more and more prevalent. Mm-hmm. You can educate yourself on anything, and I recommend everybody educate themselves on something every day, no matter what it is. find something that's of interest to you. Find something that you've never even heard of and just learn a little bit about it.
Could be weird sexual stuff like we've been discussing
today. It could
today.
be. I mean, sure, there's a great amount of time you should spend on your porn and getting yourself happy.
It's a priority, people. Come on.
But you should also just put an equal amount of time into learning something.
That was my education for the day.
I wanted to learn a new position.
Exactly. I busted out the Kama Sutra. But no, for real, check out different articles, maybe scientific articles, maybe articles about technology development, but there's all kinds of fascinating things going on all the time that no one knows about.
Did you see what I posted on Facebook this week about, there are actual scientists working for JPL, the Jet Propulsion Laboratory for NASA. They are working on the first warp drive, basically something right out of Star Trek, being able to travel faster than light. That brings to light the possibility that we will one day be able to colonize other planets. And probably within our lifetimes.
This is going to sound really bizarre, a really bizarre question that has to do with that. If you can travel at the speed of light and you're breaking the space-time continuum, would that prevent you from aging? Because time would still crawl forward wherever you were from, but would you go to other dimensions or planets or what have you, and would you be able to have the possibility of immortality? Because I'm going to sign on if yes.
I don't think it necessarily goes that way, and we don't have any real scientific data in that aspect.
It'd be cool, though.
Einstein's theory of relativity basically states that if you are able to travel faster than the speed of light, say, for instance, we're just going to go on a very short trip. We're going to go one lap around the moon and come right back to Earth. Mm-hmm. We would do it so fast that literally, hundreds of years could have passed for Earth,
right?
But only a few seconds could have passed for you.
That's kind
of to the people living in the stationary position, you would have appeared to have lived forever. You won't necessarily. You'll still live out your normal lifespan until we come up with something to prolong that. But I mean, it's very possible if we find a planet that's at present time would take 50 or 60,000 years to get to, maybe longer, but we can get there in a couple weeks. That's going to open up huge possibilities.
Isn't that crazy?
It's amazing. But at the same time, I worry, with as ignorant and selfish as we are right now.
That will just mess up the whole universe.
We're just going to go out and find another planet and bleed it dry the way that we're doing to our home world. And that really drives me nuts. We have nowhere else to go right now. We are fucking this place up like a bunch of kids running around crazy without their parents' supervision.
You know how every Hollywood movie has this group of aliens that travel from planet to planet, use up all of the resources?
That was my first thought, and I know exactly where you're going.
So they use up all the resources, then they move on to another planet. Maybe that's us.
That's going to be us if we don't change our way of thinking before we get to this point.
And they tried to warn us in Hollywood, people, and we wouldn't listen. Just like the movie Gattaca, they tried to warn us.
It could very well turn out to be a Star Trek-like scenario, but we're basically the bad guys.
Yeah.
If we don't change the way we are before we start traveling, we are going to be some evil motherfuckers that cannot be stopped until somebody smarter and more advanced in their own technology and weaponry comes along and says, whoa, we're not letting you do that anymore, and then they'll just wipe us out of the universe.
Right, we are the aliens from Independence Day.
We kind of are if we move in that direction before we change our way we live.
Wow.
It's going to be bad.
What do you want from us? To die. That's us. Die. Best movie ever. But really a scary thought. Because we already have ruined the planet we are habitating now.
We haven't completely ruined it. There's a possibility of it fixing itself if we stop.
Well, and that's what I'm saying is that there's not a whole lot of people standing forward and going, hey, I'm going to stop driving my car everywhere when I don't need to even go anywhere.
Yeah.
Or I'm gonna stop throwing stuff away. I'm gonna start actually trying to recycle or stop buying crap I don't even need. And I mean, we're kind of hard pressed to get people to make choices like that.
We are. The problem is, like I mentioned before when I talked about that Consuming Kids documentary.
Love it.
You've got these highly educated people that start off advertising to you and trying to teach you brand loyalty when you're basically an infant sitting in front of the TV. The human brain takes in like tens of thousands of pieces of information per second. But the aware consciousness that you think of as you only takes in a few hundred pieces of information per second. If somebody realizes that there's such a wide spectrum of things that you're not seeing and hearing, they can keep pushing shit out into your brain and you don't even realize it's going in there. And when it hits the subconscious and echoes around, it starts to sound to you like your own voice and makes you think you're coming up with those ideas that somebody sold to you. And really, that's how we build our belief structures. We
Well, that's how we build our belief structures with everything, not just what products we want, but our sexual growth, our sexuality, how we choose to live within our culture, what items we buy, what community things we participate in, what we agree with, what we don't agree with. It's everything.
It is.
It gets sold to us.
That's why I tell people, question everything about yourself.
Yeah.
You don't know where any of your ideas come from, so you might as well question them. See if there's any validity to them. It might all be bullshit.
Right. And chances are a lot of it is.
Well, really, I mean, I think it was about a year ago, a group of physicists came out and said, when they're digging deeper and deeper into superstring theory and basically what the universe is made out of, they were finding binary code, basically computer programming language in the superstring theory. And they started thinking, well, shit, maybe all of reality is just a computer program from somewhere else.
I saw that movie, too.
The Matrix, maybe. But really, that goes along with there's been a widespread philosophical thought about that for a long time. That really, when you go into your dreams, when you're asleep at night and you're having dreams, if you're ever in a place that's populated and you see lots of people, those people all seem to have their own personalities, their own histories. They all seem to think that they're real.
Mm-hmm.
And you, as the dreamer, are the only one that knows, those guys are just figments of my imagination. Who's to say there's not some other being dreaming us up? And we just think we're real and think we have some history. It's all in your head, folks. We don't know what the hell's what. Nobody really knows.
No, just like people have postulated about maybe we're all characters in a book somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh, or like that Jim Carrey movie that it's a reality TV show, and all of you are paid extras. And I want to know why my salary isn't bigger. If I'm in this movie, my God.
Where's my green room? I demand fruit.
I demand fruit and green M&Ms. Only the green ones.
Yeah, I don't know. There's so many possibilities. I mean, there's a very good possibility this could be real, and we just lie to ourselves all the time. Hell, we've already convinced most of our species that we're not monkeys. But guess what? We are.
Well, and why do we have this need to constantly philosophize? I can't talk.
Philosophize.
That's it, philosophize. And I think it's a good thing to do so, but what about human nature causes us to do that? And will we ever find the answers to anything?
I don't know that we'd necessarily ever find the answers, and there's no guarantee that you'll find them even beyond the pale of death. But I think it has a lot to do with the fact that we feel so out of control when it comes to our society. We feel like we're oppressed in so many different directions, and there's so many pressures on us to do things to fit in with society, as well as moving our lives forward as far as the idea has been sold to us, and continue consuming, and we start to feel more and more pressure on us as we get older and older. Mm-hmm. And we try to imagine some way to make that all go away and to feel better. And the only way I've ever found is meditation. Clear your mind, let go of the bullshit.
Try to keep a healthy body, and that improves meditation.
Eat well, exercise, make yourself feel good. That includes masturbating.
That includes masturbating, and it really does. And that's the thing is that sexuality and having sexual intercourse and even self-intercourse improves your immunity. It constantly improves your immunity. Your body you feel invigorated. You feel great. But it also, like when you have sex with someone else, it introduces bacteria to your body that your body then has to fight off. And hopefully it's healthy bacteria, not the kind that's going to kill you, which is why you need to be protected. Yeah. But it really is good for your health.
If you're really into it, you can really build up a cardio exercise.
For real. For real. It is a great workout, but yeah, like a 5-minute escapade probably isn't an entire workout. But it's cool. It's hey, rock it out.
Hey, they got that 6-minute abs.
Right.
Start selling a video of the 5-minute cock.
Exactly. But yeah, but it's also good for your relationship if you're in a relationship. It's good for your self-esteem. It's good for your focus and your concentration.
Guys, it'll help you build stamina.
It will. Well, then you can hold plank position forever.
Oh, there you go.
If you're ever out planking with your friends, they'll be like, wow, he can stay in plank position for like 4 or 5 hours. I wonder how that is. He's amazing.
He's so good. Oh, my goodness.
Mm-hmm. That's funny.
But you know what? I don't know. Do whatever you've got to do to make yourself happy. Educate yourself on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Become a better person every day. Much better than the one you were yesterday. Just keep moving forward, and hopefully we won't be complete cunts by the time we leave this planet and try to find another one.
Right, exactly. But yeah.
Hopefully we can leave this place in a lot better shape than our generation's found it.
Moving forward is not being stagnant.
Mm.
You got to keep improving yourself and your situation, your community, and the world.
And stop allowing the ideas of the past to taint you, to build your terminology for the future. We've got to do something completely different here, or we're all going to become extinct probably within the next 200 years.
Maybe not even that long.
Yeah, so I'm telling you, your breeding probably won't help you build the species up and continue it on. We're probably going to make this place uninhabitable if we don't fix some shit.
Yeah.
So when you feel angry and want to destroy something, go jerk off instead.
Yeah, so remember to love yourself.
Yeah, love yourself, love others.
And
Just
love yourself a bunch of times a day if you have to. It's important.
If you feel like you're going to harm somebody, just stay home and love yourself all day long.
That's right. But yeah.
That sounded much better than go fuck yourself, didn't it?
Stay home and just love yourself.
Yeah. And have fun with your Benoit balls, folks.
Yep, they work.
See ya!
Addy.